We talked about days 1 and 2 of the combine yesterday. Now I'm going to tell you what I thought of days 3 and 4. Who impressed, who has something to prove, and who should the Bills be looking at come the NFL draft. Welcome to Believers Talk. My name is Joe, and welcome to continuing coverage of the NFL Combine. Guys, the NFL Combine's over. We could start talking NFL Draft coming up in April, or even free agency coming up in March, and we will have you covered with all that right here on Believers Talk. So if you haven't already subscribed, guys, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. March 13th is the start of the league year. March 11th is when you could start talking to potential free agents. So a lot of things getting ready to heat up as we're looking at March 6th right now, next week. Things will get a lot more interesting. So again, thank you for joining my Believers Talk. My name is Joe. If you haven't already hit that subscribe button, hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button as this video goes on. Let me know what you think. Who did you like in days 3 and 4 of the NFL Combine? Who didn't you like? Again, we went over days 1 and 2 yesterday. I'll hit a link in the video somewhere so you guys can just hit it like a card thing. I don't know. You guys know what I'm talking about. So just hit that link if you haven't already seen that video. Today, we're going to talk about day 3 and 4. Again, I don't like saying that any of these guys are losers. I call them winners if they impressed. And if they did not impress, I just say, hey, they have a little more work to do come their pro day later in March. Everyone gets a pro day as well, and those might be a little more scripted drills, but at the same time, drills nonetheless. Again, as I said yesterday in the video, I spend maybe, look at this and put like 5 to 10% of stock in this combine. I don't put as much as some other people do. I don't get impressed by all these flashy numbers. Again, look at a player's collegiate career. How does that translate to the combine? And then that is the overall player at hand. You shouldn't just look at the combine if they had a bad collegiate career and say, oh, well, he had good numbers at the combine. Well, that's great. DK Metcalf, great athlete. We talked about him yesterday. Is he a great football player? That's the question. But today we're talking about days 3 and 4. So let's get into the winners from day 3. Day 3, you saw the defensive tackles, defensive ends, and the linebackers all show what they can do as they get ready for the next level. And guys, just like at the Senior Bowl, I really liked this one guy. If you were with me as we live streamed the Senior Bowl, couldn't stop talking about Montez Sweat, edge from Mississippi State. Looked really good at the NFL Combine, just like he looked really good at the Senior Bowl. You're talking about a 4.41 40-yard dash time for an edge rusher. This guy is a monster, 6'6", 260 pounds. I really like this guy. I like the way he gets off the edge. We really need to start. If you're a Bills fan, you want to look at him in the first round, day 1 of the NFL draft. Going to my next winner, I'm going to Quinnen Williams, defensive tackle from Alabama. Now, he did not participate in all the drills, a little bit of a lingering injury issue, but that's no issue for me. Again, you look at his collegiate career, what he has done for Alabama, 6'3", 303 pounds, maybe off most draft boards by the time the Bills pick at 9, but that's something we should be looking into. See, if this is a guy we're really interested in, maybe move up a couple spots, who knows, but he was definitely a winner on this day. You look at Rashawn Gary from Michigan. This is somebody who I didn't know much about going into the NFL Combine, and that's kind of what happens at the Combine. You see some players that you really don't hear much about or see much about. Now, for me personally, I didn't know much about Gary. I have definitely looked him up since then from Michigan, and I really like what I see. He ran a 4.58 40, which is the best out of all the D linemen, so look forward to seeing him here. His broad jump was 10 feet, vertical jump 38 inches, so guy is a freak athlete. So maybe look at him later on in the draft. I don't think he's worth a number 9 pick, but something to look into. Maybe if we draft or trade back, pick him up later. We'll see what happens. And then Devin Bush, linebacker from Michigan, again, also did a great job. These Michigan guys really stepping up at the NFL Combine. 5'11", 234 pounds, ran 40 time 4.43, pretty impressive. Second among the linebackers, 40 and a half inch vertical leap, which led all linebackers. Those are some impressive numbers. Again, good athletic ability. How does that translate to the football field? Had a pretty good collegiate career at linebacker, playing for Michigan. So we have to look at him as a potential linebacker. But luckily, the Bills don't necessarily need a linebacker. That's not a position of need coming into this year's NFL draft, coming into free agency. Again, as being said at the Combine, at the Senior Bowl, we're going to draft by best possible player. And if he's the best possible player at some point, maybe we look his way. But at the same time, linebacker is not a key position for the Buffalo Bills in this draft, so we might not look that way come April. So we talked about the winners on day 3. Let's talk about the guys who have a little more work to do. And I'm going to mess up this guy's name just because I'm not great with names. As many of you already know, on Believers Talk, if you have followed me from this beginning to now, you know names aren't my thing, aren't my forte. But I'm going to go with Jachai Polite, edge from Florida. He did not do that great at the Combine. I'm reading through his numbers here. He did 4.4840. That's pretty slow for the edge rusher. He only had a 32-inch vertical jump, as you heard me talk about earlier. The previous, some of the winners had a really good vertical jump. This guy did not do so well there. And then Mack Wilson, linebacker from Alabama. Normally, you don't hear about Alabama in the needs work to do section, but in this case, that's where they end up, as he did participate in all the athletic training drills in this Combine. So we look forward to seeing him on senior day, or on his pro day, I apologize, on his pro day, to see how he does, if he does participate in all those drills. Again, this is just something you got to take in with his whole collegiate career as well. How well does he play football? Because that is what is important, not what drills, because all these drills are not drills you normally do on a football field. You know, you're not normally going to run a 40 at practice. It's just not going to happen. So how well does he do playing football? That's what matters. Now, does this speak into his character a little bit, that it was healthy that he was there and did not participate just because he didn't want it to reflect badly? Well, maybe him not participating reflected worse than him participating and not doing well. So we'll see what happens. But those are the takeaways from day 3. You know, I did talk about Montez Sweat. Brian Burns also had a pretty good Combine day. And then Dexter Lawrence from Clemson, also a winner in my opinion on this day, ran a 5.05 40-yard dash time, 1.76 10 split, and benched 36 times. So that's pretty impressive if you ask me. I look forward to seeing him at the next level. I think he had a great collegiate career for Clemson. So we move on. On day 4, we saw the cornerbacks and the safeties finally get into the mix, as it's the last day of the NFL Combine on Monday. They were able to show what they could do heading into the next level, heading to the NFL, and of course the NFL draft. One of the big winners of the day is one of the best cornerbacks, I believe, coming out of this draft, and that is Greedy Williams from LSU. Had a great day, cornerback from LSU. And again, cornerback is some position of need for the Buffalo Bills. Again, we have the one side covered at the cornerback position, but that means the 2 and maybe even the slot guys need some improvement. We like Levi Wallace, but we need to see some improvement, some consistency from the cornerback position, just like we have in that safety position in the back there. So the cornerback position was definitely a position that I was looking deep into as a Bills fan, so I hope a lot of you were looking into that too. But we talk about Greedy Williams, cornerback from LSU, definitely a winner with a strong workout, with a strong performance on Monday. Clocked a 4.37 40-yard dash time, and that's no surprise. If you look at his collegiate career at LSU, did a great job on the top receivers in the SEC throughout his collegiate career. So I really like Greedy Williams from LSU. If the Bills were looking at Greedy Williams, would have to get him with that 9th pick, which might be a little bit of a stretch, but there's no way he'd be around in the 2nd round for us to take a look there. And then you look at Byron Murphy, cornerback from Washington, one of the guys that will go a little bit later. So if we want to wait for a cornerback, that's someone we can wait for. But he did very well. He ran a 4.45 40 time, which does not sound great, but he had great footwork and great technique throughout the whole day. He looked really good in the on-field drills, and that's what's important to me. Again, I want a football player. I don't just want an athlete. I want a football player. And to me, a cornerback, it doesn't matter how fast you run a 40. It matters how well you can cover a receiver downfield. Again, you're not always sprinting downfield when you're covering a wide receiver. So how good can he do in the NFL covering some of the most elite wide receivers in the game? You look at some of the guys who have a little work to do. You're talking about Joejuan Williams, cornerback from Vanderbilt. Did not impress Big bodied cornerback, right? He's a bigger guy, so he has slower 40 time as well. But he is projected as a top 40 pick. Again, you look at his collegiate tape, and maybe he will do better as pro day. You put them together, and you see the whole line of work as a whole instead of just this day. Again, maybe he has a little more work to do at his pro day, Vanderbilt's pro day in late March, but Joejuan Williams, but not the best combine. And then you also look at Julian Love, cornerback from Notre Dame. Now, if you know me, you know that other than the Buffalo Bulls, I do enjoy some Notre Dame football, so I do know a little bit about Julian Love. You would wish that he would do a little bit better. He ran a 4.54 40, not the greatest time that you want to see. But again, you look at his collegiate career, did pretty well at Notre Dame, played pretty well over there. And at Notre Dame, we all know Notre Dame plays some of the top competition. You saw the game against Clemson. They didn't play so well, right? They got dominated in that game, and I think Love did not have the best performance in that game either. But you look at his whole collegiate career, and you know he's a solid player, solid cornerback. Again, if we want to pick up a cornerback later, that might be the type of guy that we're looking at. So let me know what you think about the cornerbacks. Let me know what you think about day 3 and 4 of the NFL Combine. Did you enjoy the NFL Combine? Did you watch it at all? Did you guys watch the Underwear Olympics, or did you leave that up to me so I can keep you informed at what happens at the NFL Combine? Always happy to do so. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Not only do we cover the Buffalo Bills, we cover the Buffalo Sabres, who in the second half of the season have just completely tanked, so we're not covering them as much until they fire head coach. And then we also cover the Buffalo Bulls. It's March, which means March Madness just around the corner. The Buffalo Bulls have clinched the MAC championship for the regular season. Now we look forward to that MAC championship tournament. If we win that tournament, we get an automatic bid. We know that Coach Oates has been talking about making it to the Sweet 16, making it to that second weekend. We'll see if we can do it this year. So, again, Bills, Sabres, Bulls, I have you covered in all Buffalo sports. Hit that subscribe button, like this video, leave a comment. I will happily get back to you. I'll see you all soon. Until I do, go Bills.